ICAR JRF, they have started this plant science online course. Based upon your requirement, this is the first free session of plant breeding, and today we will deal about modes of reproduction and pollination. Before directly jumping into the topic, tell you what are the I'll just tell you what are the different concepts that will be covered in plant breeding. Okay, so the topics are as follows. First, we will cover the modes of reproduction and pollination, followed by self-incompatibility, male sterility, and components of genetic variance, breeding methods and populations. And then breeding for biotic and abiotic resistance, which include both disease, insect, and other abiotic resistance such as your heat stress, cold stress, and even the deficiencies, etc. And the other topic is PPV-FRA, the most important topic, and IPR is also the most important topic. Among these, the first three are most essential topics you need to learn. And then after learning these three essential topics, you need to apply them in the breeding methods and populations. Okay. And we will also clearly see about PPV-FRA and IPR in the paid course. Then coming to the reference books, what we read is PD Singh and Kundan Singh. Among these two, you can choose any one book, but most people will choose PD Singh, but Kundan Singh is also a must read book. And hope you will follow Angro notes for PPV, FRA, and IPR. And I also want at the end of this session that you can include some of the suggestions which we can try to clarify in the plant breeding program, such as other topics, whatever you might feel essential. Yeah, the one thing I want to remind you in this modes of reproduction and pollination chapter is the most important is the examples. You need to remember all the examples of the crops along with their scientific names. Okay, please remember this. You also need to remember the scientific names. So never forget these scientific names because um, after changing the pattern of these ICAR PG examinations, most of the questions are simple, but the crop names are included as your scientific names. So you need to memorize the examples along with their scientific names. This is the most important thing in this chapter mostly. So we'll start the session. Hope someone can interact with me. Whatever they know, they can just tell me. And so, someone tell me what do you mean by reproduction? Mostly in the sense of croplands. Hello.
Yes, you are audible, but students are not willing to unmute and answer.
Okay. So you can okay. So everyone knows that reproduction is nothing but a ability of a parent. Okay, development of progeny from the pre-existing ones. Okay, Nanda Kumar, you can just unmute and answer yourself, and it will be a good interacting session. So development of
Sir,
progeny.
reproduction is the development of a progeny from the ancestors to the
Hello.
Might some internet connection issue.
Okay, okay. No. So let us put it in a simple way. Reproduction means, so just say ability of a parent to produce its offsprings. So in a simple way, it might be a good thing. And next coming to pollination, okay, just some student can either write in the chat box or they can interact. What do you mean by pollination? And how can you define pollination? Yeah, you can answer, man, because I'm not your professor or something teacher. I'm just your mentor. I'm just a student like you. So anyone can unmute and answer. Okay, transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Yeah, the apt definition of pollination is just the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. And so these are the two important topics that we are going to discuss now. And so in this chapter, at the end of this session, you will able to learn what are the different types of reproduction in crop plants and what are the different types of pollination in the plants. And this question is for you, how the concept can be used in the breeding method or breeding programs. Okay, so you need to answer this question at the end of the session. So we'll just begin the session. And we all know that reproduction in plants is divided into two types. One is asexual reproduction and second is sexual reproduction. So before directly jumping into these topics, we will just understand what are the essential and basic things that we should know. So we all know that this is an ovule. So ovule, it generally consists of an embryo sac. And you know what is an embryo sac named scientifically? Anyone? What is an embryo sac named scientifically? Means how do you call an embryo sac in scientific terms? Yeah, female gametophyte. That is an apt answer. So female gametophyte. So first we need to understand what do you mean by means of a gametophyte and what do you mean by sporophyte. So gametophyte, it is nothing but a structure that is holding your gamete inside. So in the embryo sac, what is exactly your gamete? Yeah, yeah.
Egg
Prabha, you
cells.
can, yes, you can unmute and answer. Yes, egg cell. So in case of male, what is your gametophyte? What do you call it? Anyone? Yeah, you can answer. So whereas in case of your male, what is the gametophyte? Pollen. Okay, good.
From whence the gamete is the gametophyte is the cell from whence the gamete is produced.
No, I can't get it. You can please repeat it.
Gametophyte is the mother cell from which the gamete is produced.
Okay, okay. So whereas in case of your male parent, what is the male gametophyte?
It is microspore.
Okay. Still any other answers? Pollen, microspore. Anyone? You can just write in the chat box. I can read it. Okay. So female gametophyte is embryo sac and male gametophyte is pollen along with the pollen tube. Okay. So hope you understood. Gametophyte is nothing but a structure which holds the gamete. Whereas in case of female, it is the embryo sac because it holds the egg cell. Whereas in case of your male, it is both the pollen as well as your pollen tube. Uh, can anyone answer what is the ploidy of the gamete in case of female as well as in case of the male side? What is the ploidy? Ploidy level.
Haploid. In
Okay,
case of
haploid.
gamete, the ploidy level is haploid.
Okay, haploid. Will it be always haploid?
Sir, please repeat.
Will it be always haploid?
In case of endosperm, the gamete is 2n, diploid.
No,
In other cases, all gametes are haploid.
Diploid.
Okay, diploid. What do you mean by sporophyte? Yes, anyone? Hello.
Yeah, yes, you are audible. Someone has
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
commented in the chat box.
Okay. Spore producing organ. Yeah, that is good. So whatever it might be, the plant, anything which produces a spore is a sporophyte. And someone also said that the ploidy of the sporophyte is 2n. So the ploidy of the gametes will be haploid and the ploidy of the sporophyte will be 2n. And now we will understand what do you mean by the reduction and unreduction type of embryo sacs. If anyone has anything to say in case of this matter, that is reduced embryo sac and unreduced embryo sac, you can comment or you can unmute and ask. Come on, this is most
Are you
basic.
sharing your presentation?
Yeah, is it visible?
No, it is not visible. You can just unshare and share it again.
So guys, is it visible now?
Yeah, is it visible now?
Okay, so I was just telling that the ploidy level of the gametes will be always n according to the student answer, and the ploidy level of the sporophyte will be 2n. And other two essential terms that we need to understand is reduced embryo sac and unreduced embryo sac.
One second. Someone is asking to repeat the question. What question you asked?
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, just these things. So what do you mean by the reduced embryo sac and what do you mean by unreduced embryo sac? Have you heard these terms? So Maiti, can you just tell me whether you heard about the terms reduced embryo sac and unreduced embryo sac? If you know, you can answer it. Anyone?
Without meiosis, and it is called apomeiosis.
Okay, you can elaborate a little bit. Mittal, I think so. So can you elaborate a little bit about what you said? Reduced embryo sac has 8 nuclei. Okay.
In
Yeah, continue.
embryo sac is produced without meiosis. That's why it is unreduced.
So
That is
if
called
meiosis
apomeiosis.
happens, okay, so when meiosis does not takes place, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when meiosis does not takes place, you generally call the embryo sac produced as the unreduced meiosis. And when takes place, this is known as the reduced meiosis. So now tell me what will be the ploidy condition in unreduced and what will be the ploidy condition in reduced? Yes, please. Aishwarya. So what is the ploidy condition in reduced and unreduced? You can simply answer. Okay, leave it. So in case of the reduced embryo sac, the ploidy condition will be normal. Okay, that is haploid. Whereas in case of your unreduced embryo sac, the ploidy condition will be abnormal because it did not undergo any meiosis division. So the ploidy condition will be 2n. So hope everyone understood about the reduced embryo sac, unreduced embryo sac, gametophyte, sporophyte, and then the ploidy level. So if anyone has doubt in these 4 terms, you can just ask me now, because the entire concept of reproduction, mostly the asexual reproduction, will be based on these terms. So if no one has any doubt, we will proceed. 2n and n respectively. Okay, good. So hope you are clear with these 4 terms: gametophyte, sporophyte, reduced embryo sac, and the unreduced embryo sac. Okay. Right. I'll be proceeding to the actual topic now. So we all know that plants generally produced by 2 different types. One will be sexual reproduction and other will be asexual reproduction. In the second one, that is the asexual reproduction, now we will be generally studying about apomixis. So apomixis, if you divide this term, you will generally see 2 different things, apo and mixis. So what do you mean by apo and what do you mean by mixis? And it is easy to tell that mixis is nothing but mixing of 2 gametes. Mixing of 2 gametes, that is your male and female. Then what do you mean by apo? Apo is nothing but without, we can say, or it is away from. So away from mixing the 2 gametes. So apomixis is nothing but away from mixing of 2 gametes. And this apomixis, it has been divided into different forms. Now the basic understanding is, one is vegetative propagation and the second thing is agamospermy. So in case of vegetative propagation, can anyone say what do you mean by vegetative propagation? Simple definition. You cannot see the screen.
Actually, I am able to see the screen. What about others? Rest, you are able to see the screen. It might be
And
due
you
to
are
some internet
and
connection.
you are audible, Hari, right?
Yeah,
And I am
clearly
audible,
audible.
right? Okay.
Yeah, you are clearly audible. It might be due to some connection error. Once it get updated, it will be again. You will be the screen will be visible. Don't worry. Just wait for some time. Okay, screen is visible for other students. It might be due to the slow internet connection that you have. Once the connection is stable, again the screen will be visible. Or you can continue.
Okay. So Krishna, can you hear me now? I'll just repeat what I said. Okay. So I just went through what do you mean by apomixis. If we generally divide the term, it is nothing but apo and mixis. So mixis is mixing of 2 gametes and apo is without or away from mixing of 2 gametes. We generally discussed about this. And now coming to vegetative propagation. So someone answered vegetative propagation. A vegetative propagation by vegetative parts, and reproduction without the fusion of gametes from the vegetative parts. Oh, good. So both are correct. So just propagation through vegetative parts. So whatever other than the gamete, fusion of gamete, if you generally produce a progeny, that is known as the vegetative propagation. So one other question is, so if you take a plant and a plant reproduced by vegetative means, so how the progeny will be? How the progeny will be? How it will look? Yes, once again.
Identical to parent plant.
Okay, identical to parents. Okay. So someone said that it will be identical to parent. Okay. So there are 2 parents, male, female. Which parent and why? Identical to parent and true to type. Okay, true to type is partially correct. Female parents. Okay, female parent Why, Miss Aparna? Can you just answer? Genetically and morphologically similar to parent 1. Maternal type. Okay. Maternal type. And one said female parent. So I just want to ask the students who just said female parent and maternal type, why only maternal? Why not paternal or male? You can just answer right in the chat box. Why only female parent? Why not maternal parent in case of vegetative reproduction? We are just discussing about the vegetative reproduction in that things. People answered that plants they generally reproduce through vegetative parts or vegetative means.
Sir, in case of vegetative propagation, there is only one parent, na? There is no case of two parent.
Why?
Sir, in case of vegetative propagation, the part of the plant or part of an organism is reproduce the its progeny. So in case of there is need for only one parent, not two parent.
Okay, we will go in this way. Let us consider there are two plants.
Okay.
So this is male and this is female.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you know
Yes,
about
sir.
bryophyllum. Bryophyllum.
Yes, sir.
You know about bryophyllum.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the male biophyllum it produce a progeny. Okay, so how the biophyllum will generally propagate? Hope you know bryophyllum is a leaf and it also has small vegetative structures like leaf. If this part is excised and it is placed into soil, the new progeny will be formed. So this is a male plant. And now the progeny, will it look like male or female? Okay, leaf bud. Yeah, good, good. Leaf bud. So how it will look? The leaf bud, it is a male plant, and how the progeny will look, like the male or female? Male. Okay. So anyone who other will say that it is male, not female, or both male and female can be possible, or only female is possible? Because one situation is over, many students replied that identical to parents and then to female parent, maternal type, now male. So anyone who other can say both male and female parents are possible, similar to both. Okay. So the apt answer would be, whereas in case of vegetative propagation, it might be what the vegetative part is coming from. Okay, whether it comes from male, so it looks like male. If it comes from female, it looks like female. So vegetative propagation. You all know that vegetative propagation, it is again divided into different types. So we'll generally go through each one. Underground stems. So in this, the first scientific term we will learn about tuber. So can anyone say what is the example of the vegetative propagation of underground stem term tuber? What is the example? See, most important thing in this chapter is examples. You need to memorize the examples. So what is the example for the tuber? Potato. Potato. Okay, so what is the scientific name of potato? Now the pattern of questions are changing. Solanum tuberosum. So this is good. So you can just unmute and answer. I can't see the chat box every time I need to go back. So one is Solanum tuberosum. And what about bulbs? And what are the examples for bulbs? So come on, you can unmute and answer. So onion, just answer in terms of the scientific names, please.
Allium cepa.
Okay, Oleum cepa. So, and any other example?
Alien sativum.
So, Oleum cepa and Oleum sativum. So, what is Oleum sativum?
Garlic.
Garlic. Okay, good. And what about rhizomes? What would be the apt example for rhizomes and along with the scientific name?
Ginger.
Ginger, okay. Scientific name? Anyone? Scientific name? So it is Gingiber officinale. Please do remember the scientific name. This is important thing. And other example would be ginger along with the turmeric. And turmeric scientific name is Curcuma domestica. And the example for com? Come on, please do reply. Amorphophallus. Okay, Amorphophallus. And any other thing? Any other example? Hello? Colocasia. Okay. So what colocasia? Is it a scientific name or it is a common name? So okay, so there are two examples for com. One you will be generally learning about RV and other is Bunda. So both belong to the genus Colocasia. So RV it is Colocasia esculenta and the Bunda is Colocasia antiquorum. So please do remember the scientific names. In case of tuber, it is Solanum tuberosum. In case of bulbs, it is Oleum cepa and Oleum sativum. And rhizome, ginger, turmeric, so Gingiber officinale and Curcuma domestica. In case of com, it is RV and Bunda, both belong to the genus Colocasia. RV is esculenta and Bunda is antiquorum. And now coming to the subaerial stems, so we will be going to three different parts. One is runner, stolon and suckers. So can anyone say a fruit which is an example for runner? Yeah, example for a runner. Hello? Grass, oxalis, good. I want to listen if you. Okay, strawberry, good. So, what is the scientific name of strawberry? Yeah, strawberry is right answer. So, what is the scientific name of the strawberry? Prajaria, good. So, that is the genus Prajaria, and whatever might be your species, it counts. So, Prajaria. And an example to stolon. What is an example to stolon?
Mint.
Okay, mint. So, what is the scientific name of mint? Even I too don't know the scientific name of mint. You guys can answer.
Mentha species.
Mentho species. Okay, so everyone do check the scientific name of mint because even I too don't know the scientific name of mint. And what will be the example of sucker?
Banana.
Okay, banana scientific name.
Pineapple.
Huh? Banana scientific name.
Musa domestica.
Okay, Musa species because there are many species in banana. So these are the two different terms that we just learned about underground stems and subaerial stems. So these are the modifications of your stem parts. The name itself indicates it is a modified stem or something. Okay. So what are bulbils? And what are these are modified form of?
Modified flowers.
Flower. Okay, good. So please do remember bulb versus bulbil. So bulb is a modified form of your stem. Okay, good. And bulbil is a modified form of the flower. So there is
Flower.
one. Okay. There is one common thing between these two in case of the example. Can anyone cite it? Bulb and bulbil.
Garlic.
Yeah, garlic. That is good. So garlic with oleum sepa, right? Garlic, oleum sepa, right?
Sativa.
Yeah, garlic, oleum sativum. And one another example, this was frequently asked in some JRF, that example for a bulbil which is amendable to tissue culture.
Hypomia.
Yeah, hypomia, what do you call it? Common name? This is one. And the second thing is,
Sir, I don't know the common name. It's hypomia, I know.
okay,
Sweet
it is
potato.
sweet potato. Yeah, sweet potato. And also the important question is bulbil which is amendable to tissue culture. What is the example for that? Anyone? So the answer is cardamom. Please do remember this is an important question. Example for a bulbil which is amendable to tissue culture is a cardamom species. So hope now you are clear about the vegetative propagation. If anyone makes the statement that all the plants that are reproduced through vegetative propagation looks like female, will it be correct or wrong? Hello?
False.
So what is the meaning of amendable? Amendable is nothing but what you can practice tissue culture in it, okay? Okay, false. So you can't see identical male parent in vegetative propagation. Is it your statement, Sona? So is this statement wrong that only vegetative propagation produces identical female progeny? Means the progeny is identical to the female plants. So only my question is all the progeny produced through vegetative propagation are identical to female parent only. Only. Is this the statement right or wrong? Hello? Wrong. False. Okay. So what would be the right statement to make?
Female or male.
Hello?
Depends on which.
Depends upon the.
Depends on which part.
Okay. So both male and female identical plants can be obtained. Okay. So please do remember in case of vegetative propagation. And now we will be generally actually dealing about the agamospermy. Okay. In case of agamospermy, it is again divided into two types. One is adventitious embryony and second is gametophytic apomixis. So can anyone say or you have any understanding about adventitious embryony? Which part is used for reproduction? Yeah, any vegetative part other than your gametes. And what do you mean by adventitious embryo? Can anyone briefly say me?
Embryo develops from
Hmm.
vegetative
Hello?
of the ovule. An
No, I
embryo
can't
develops
hear.
from vegetative cells.
Okay, embryo develops
From vegetative cells of the ovule.
vegetative cells of the ovule. Okay, vegetative cells of ovule. Good. So this is partly correct, but the most important thing that you need to know is in case of adventitious embryony, there is a sporophyte and then it directly leads to the formation of another sporophyte without any intermediate of your gametophyte. Okay. So you know that the sporophyte ploidy is
Again,
okay,
diploid.
and yeah, diploid. So there is no haploid phase in case of your adventitious embryony. So you need to remember it. Okay. So adventitious embryony is defined as embryo directly develops and it forms into a plant. And from where does this embryo develops? It might be from nucellus, it might be from integuments, and it might be from the chalaza. And then this embryo it directly develops into the sporophyte without no gametophyte formation. So there is no intervention of gametophyte here. This is the main difference between adventitious embryony and gametophytic apomixis. Okay. In case of adventitious embryony, there is no gametophytic stage. But in case of gametophytic apomixis, there is a gametophytic stage which intermediates between two sporophytic stages. So hope you understood completely about adventitious embryony. That is, embryo directly develops from the vegetative cells, as someone said, and these vegetative cells are nothing but your nucellus, integuments, and chalaza. So without any gametophyte formation, sporophyte directly produces the sporophyte. There was many questions in JRF regarding this, such that a sporophyte it directly led to the development of the other sporophyte. And what is this mechanism known as? So this is known as your adventitious embryony. And what are the examples to adventitious embryony along with the scientific names?
Mangifera indica.
Okay, Mangifera indica. Common name?
Mango.
Okay, mango. And any other?
Citrus.
Citrus, good. So these two are majorly, and other example is some kinds of orchids. Okay, so one is your mango, Mangifera indica, citrus, and orchids. And now entering into the gametophytic apomixis, the second type of agamospermy. So in this, there is an intervention of gametophytic stage between two sporophytic stages. Okay, so you all have read about apogamy or parthenogenesis or even apospory. Can anyone define what do you mean by apospory in simple terms? Not the definition that is given here, but what is your understanding? What do you mean by apospory? Anyone or whatever the definition that you have read. So what do you mean by apospory?
Formation of embryo sacs from vegetative cells of ovule.
Okay, formation of embryo sac. Okay, so in scientific terms, what do you call the embryo sac?
Megagametophyte.
Yeah, good. Megagametophyte. So you are saying that apomixis ultimately leads to the formation of a gametophyte. Is it the right statement to make? Hello? Hello? So someone said that it is the formation of embryo sac. So I am telling that apospory is ultimately the formation of the gametophyte. Is it the right statement to make?
Meiosis is not involved.
I can't just listen. You can repeat it, please.
Meiosis is not involved.
No, I'm just telling whether it is right statement to make or not. Apospory leads to the formation of gametophyte. Someone told that is the embryo sac, the mega gametophyte. I am saying that apospory is a mechanism that ultimately results in the formation of the gametophyte. Is it right or wrong? Hello? Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
Okay. Okay, so we'll first understand the concept. So apospory, as someone said, that development of the gametophyte. Just leave this aside, the reduced and unreduced concept. Development of the gametophyte from the vegetative cells of the ovule. So what are the different types of vegetative cells? I discussed it here. It might be your nucellus, it might be your integuments, it might be the chalaza. So whatever the parts that are lying outside the embryo sac. Okay. And one is, if the archaeosporio cells, it directly develops into the gametophyte, and this type of apospory, it is known as generative apospory. And some other thing is other your somatic cells, if they develop into the gametophyte.
Hari, someone wants to explain you again. Like someone wants you to explain again.
So please explain once again. Which concept? Which one?
Sir, apospory.
Apospory. Okay. See, apospory is nothing but development of your gametophyte from the vegetative cells of your ovule. Okay. Did you understand this term? Apospory, development of your gametophyte from the vegetative cells of your ovule. It's simple.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Did you read about apospory? Hello?
Sir,
Tell me. Did
can
you
I
read about?
explain?
Hmm.
Can I explain it in simple terms?
In simple terms. See, there is, okay. Apospory means, it is written here, development of the gametophyte from the vegetative cells of your ovule. In simple terms, development of your embryo sac from the vegetative cells. And what are your vegetative cells? Vegetative cells, they might be the nucellus, integument, chalaza, and other archaeosporial cells which are lying outside the embryo sac. Okay. If any of these
Okay, sir.
cells, okay, if any of these cells develop into the embryo sac, okay, this is known as your apospory. And hope you know that vegetative cells, what will be the ploidy condition of these vegetative cells?
2N.
Okay, so it is diploid. Okay,
Okay.
so if this diploid cells without any meiosis, if they directly develop it into an embryo sac like structure, what will be the ploidy condition of the embryo sac?
2N.
2M. So we will call it as unreduced. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
so hope you are clear about it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are two types. One is your generative apospory and second is your somatic apospory. In generative apospory, the archaeosporial cells, they directly develop into your unreduced embryo sac. In case of somatic apospory, it is your nucellus or integuments that develop into the unreduced embryo sac. So apospory, it generally stops with the development of your gametophyte. Okay. So apospory is the formation of the gametophyte from sporophyte. This is the direct question in one of the JRF paper stating formation of gametophyte from sporophyte. The mechanism underlying is your apospory. So okay, is apospory clear to everyone? Or if you have any doubts, you can just ask me. Clear, right? So okay, so apospory, it is just up to the formation of the gametophyte. Only up to this, it is the apospory. And after the formation of the gametophyte, then comes the two other mechanisms. One is your parthenogenesis. So I want to generally know what is the basic understanding of parthenogenesis. Anyone? Even though it is written there, but hope you guys know more than this. What do you mean by parthenogenesis? Haploid embryo. Okay. Okay. Any other than haploid embryo? Anyone?
Embryo development for
Mm-hmm.
formation.
What
Embryos develop
formation?
before formation.
Embryo?
Embryos are developed. Embryos are developed without pollination.
See, there is no point of pollination in asexual reproduction. Without fertilization, there is no point because we are discussing about asexual reproduction. Formation of fruit. See, fruit formation, it generally goes to parthenocarpy without a fusion of male and female gametes. Okay, so Jairam said that it is the formation of fruit. So how will you define parthenocarpy then? Anyone like to add to parthenogenesis? Now we are discussing about parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis. It is simply written that development of your embryo from the egg cell. Okay. So do anyone counter this embryo without male genetic material? Yeah, we'll come to it. Whether it will be only of female genetic material or only the male genetic material or the fusion of both. So parthenogenesis, in simple terms, it is the development of your embryo from the egg cell. Hope everyone knows that the embryo sac, you generally have 3 cells here, 3 cells here, and 2 cells here. And how in sexual reproduction, how do the embryo forms? In sexual reproduction. Yeah, just go ahead. In sexual reproduction, how do the embryo forms?
Fusion of
Fusion of okay, in sexual reproduction, it is the fusion of your male and then the female gamete leads to the formation of your embryo. Whereas in case of parthenogenesis, there is no such fusion as mentioned by many other students directly from the egg cell. Okay, if it directly forms from the egg cell, then this mechanism is known as parthenogenesis. And now there are two different types of parthenogenesis. One is your haploid parthenogenesis, other is the diploid parthenogenesis. Whereas in case of your haploid parthenogenesis, this egg cell, if the ploidy condition of the egg cell is N and it leads to the formation of your embryo, this is known as haploid parthenogenesis. And if the egg cell condition is diploid, this is known as diploid parthenogenesis. Okay, and the other mechanism is your apogamy. So now you saw that egg cell, it develops into embryo if other than the egg cell. Okay, so what are the other cells which are other than egg cells in your embryo sac? Anyone? Triple fusion, double fertilization, good. So in embryo sac, without egg cell or other than the egg cell, okay, antipodals, synergids, good. So that's it, antipodals and synergids.
Polar nuclei.
Polar nuclei, okay. So other than the egg cells, from such as your antipodals and synergids, if the embryo it develops from these structures, okay, this is known as your apogamy. So both parthenogenesis and apogamy, they generally start from gametophytic stage and eventually develop into your embryo. Embryo directly leads to the formation of your sporophyte. See, these are two important questions that will be frequently asked in JRFs. One is formation of the gametophyte from the sporophyte. It is simply the apospory. Whereas in case of your parthenogenesis or apogamy, formation of the sporophyte from the gametophyte. Hope you guys will understand it, and clearly it has been mentioned here. Ultimately, apospory is the formation of gametophyte. So what apospory forms is gametophyte from the sporophyte. Whereas in case of your parthenogenesis and apogamy, it is the formation of your sporophyte from the gametophyte. Okay, is it clear? Hope it is clear for everyone. And now we will enter into the examples. So can anyone say examples for apospory? Mostly you can club the examples under generative apospory and somatic apospory. Examples for both. Anyone? Examples for apospory. See, examples are most important thing along with the scientific names.
Orchid.
Huh? Orchid.
Orchid.
Okay, orchid. Orchid is a very general example. Any specific thing? Actually, it's correct.
Erasium.
Yeah, it is also correct. And still,
Malus.
malus. Okay, good. What is still along with malus? There are two other examples that you need to always remember in combination. Cripspoia, that is good. So examples for apospory, most probably the somatic apospory, it is malus, crips, and poia. And in case of generative apospory, anyone can add. What is the examples for this? For generative apospory, common examples are most important thing. There will be many direct questions. So example for generative apospory is your weed Parthenium. Please do remember, generative apospory is seen in Parthenium, and malus, crips, poia, orchids, the somatic apospory is being generally observed. Okay. And what are the examples for your apogamy? For apogamy, anyone? The most important example. It can also be seen in your bulb. Yeah, bulb, and the example for bulb is also an example for your apogamy. It is your oleum species. Please do remember. Yes. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So most important example for apogamy is oleum. Please do remember this example. This is also an example for your bulb, both in case of your oleum cepa and oleum sativa. So hope you guys are now clear about these apomixis. It is divided into vegetative propagation and agamospermy, and we discussed about vegetative propagation along with three different terms and the examples. In case of agamospermy, one is adventitious embryony, where sporophyte directly develops into the other sporophyte without any gametophytic formation, or there is no intervention of gametophytic stage. But whereas in case of your gametophytic apomixis, the name itself indicates that it is gametophytic apomixis, which means there is a stage of gametophyte. So sporophyte, if it develops into gametophyte, this is known as apospory. And if the gametophyte it develops into sporophyte, there are two terms, that is parthenogenesis and apogamy. In case of parthenogenesis, it is your egg cell which generally develops into embryo, and embryo ultimately into the sporophyte. In case of your apogamy, other than the egg cell, such as your antipodals and synergids, they develop into the embryo, embryo develops into the sporophyte. So other than the terms which are mentioned here, that is adventitious embryony, apospory, parthenogenesis, apogamy, did you hear any other asexual reproduction term in case of plants, crop plants? Any other? Any other term? Did anyone hear about any other term other than parthenogenesis, apogamy, apospory, adventitious embryony? Or did anyone read about any other term? Anyone? Hello? Apomixis, this is the classification of apomixis. Hope you guys are following. This is the classification of apomixis. And we saw four different terms. 1, apospory 2, parthenogenesis 3, apogamy 4. Other than this, did anyone hear about an extra term in asexual reproduction of crop plants? You can write in the chat box. Did anyone hear about any other term? This is important term, that the other thing that it will not. So the other term is diplospory. So if anyone heard about it, please do explain me, or I will proceed. What do you mean by diplospory? Anyone? Do you know about diplospory? Okay. See, diplospory. Hope you know about the megaspore. This megaspore, if it directly leads to the production of your embryo sac, this mechanism is known as diplospory. So diplospory, it also ends with your gametophyte. We saw two terms which generally end with gametophyte. One is diplospory and the other is apospory. Whereas the other one which ends with the sporophyte from the gametophyte is parthenogenesis and apogamy. Okay, so these are the important lines that everyone should remember. Formation of the gametophyte from the sporophyte can be seen in diplospory and apospory, and formation of the sporophyte from the gametophyte can be seen in parthenogenesis and apogamy. If anyone has any confusion in it, you can please unmute and ask, because these statements will be generally given in JRF exam, that formation of gametophyte from sporophyte is apospory and diplospory, whereas in case of this, formation of the sporophyte from the gametophyte is your parthenogenesis and apogamy. Okay, so do anyone have doubts in this sporophyte formation and gametophyte formation? You can unmute and ask. So I think no doubts are in these two.
Sir, diplospory version.
Diplospory.
Yes, sir.
So I need to repeat diplospory. Okay. Is it your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, diplospory is nothing but megaspore, or in order to be more particular, the megaspore mother cell. Okay. If it directly develops into the embryo sac, this is a special condition, and this mechanism is known as diplospory. Okay. Is it clear?
Sir, then there is no meiosis. That what do you mean?
Yeah, there might be or there not be meiosis. But if the megaspore mother cell, if it directly develops into embryo sac,
Okay.
okay, so there might be meiosis might be there or meiosis might not be. But the megaspore mother cell, if it directly develops into the embryo sac, this is known as diplospory. And we can also say that diplospory also ends with the gametophytic stage. Okay, so is it clear? Diplospory.
Sir,
Hello. Okay, hope it is clear. And now we will discuss the techniques how we can detect the apomixis in croplands.
Sir,
Hello.
sir, what will be the ploidy of embryo formed in parthenogenesis?
How many types of parthenogenesis did I discuss?
Two types.
Okay, what are they? Yeah, please.
Gonial and somatic.
No. I discussed about two types. One is haploid and one is diploid. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what do you mean by gonial and somatic parthenogenesis?
From egg cell, the haploid one is gonial, and from somatic cells, the diploid one is somatic.
Okay. So somatic parthenogenesis is indeed known as your apogamy. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So in parthenogenesis, if the embryo has formed, so what will be the ploidy level of that embryo? Whether it will be haploid or diploid?
Yes, sir, got it. In one case haploid and in another case diploid. Okay.
No. It is not haploid in one case. It is not diploid in one case. See, listen carefully.
Okay.
Egg cell, if it gives rise to embryo, what do you call this? What do you call this condition?
Gonial parthenogenesis, haploid
Go-
parthenogenesis.
Gonial, partheno, or haploid. Okay. So if other than the egg cell, if it gives rise to embryo, what do you call this?
Somatic parthenogenesis.
Or
Apogamy.
apogamy. Okay. See, in both the conditions, the embryo was found to be diploid. Is it possible? See, even others can answer. Is it possible in both the conditions the embryo formed is a diploid one? So, is it possible? Yes or no? Okay, see, it can be possible. It all depends upon the ploidy level of your egg and ploidy level of your antipodals or synergids. If the embryo sac that is formed is in unreduced form, so all the cells will be in the diploid form. So this diploid egg cell will ultimately give rise to the diploid embryo, and this diploid antipodals or synergids, they ultimately give rise to your diploid egg. embryo in both the conditions. Okay, so the name is just, if it forms from the egg, it is known as your parthenogenesis. If it is formed from other than the egg cell, it is known as your somatic parthenogenesis or apogamy. Hope I am clear now.
Or when it is applied.
Huh? When it is haploid, whenever
When it is
the
applied.
embryos, okay, whenever the embryo sac is haploid, then the embryo will be haploid. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So whenever the embryo sac is unreduced one, when it is diploid, so embryo will be also be the diploid one. Okay. Is it clear? Everything depends upon the
Yes,
embryo
sir.
sac. This is the correct statement. Everything depends upon the embryo sac ploidy. So if the embryo sac is unreduced, so it will be, the embryo will be unreduced. If the embryo sac is reduced, the embryo will be reduced. And now, can anyone tell me the techniques or anything how we can detect apomixis, that this plant reproduced by apomixis mechanism? How can you know? Anyone? How we can know that this plant is reproducing through apomixis?
If it is exactly identical to parent.
Okay, which parent? Identical to parent. Which parent? Only there are two parents. You can pick male or female. What will you pick?
Female.
Okay, female. See, female is correct, but female is correct in case of your agamospermy. Okay, because in case of your agamospermy, everything that we discussed is from the female side here. Because we are discussing about only the embryo sac, embryo, egg cell, or antipodals, because this is only available from your female side. Okay. So, if the progeny are identical to the parent, most probably to the female parent, so this is one step to detect your apomixis. And what will be any other points to note? How will you detect apomixis in crop plants? See, the other condition is polyembryony. What do you mean by polyembryony? What is known as polyembryony? Anyone?
More than one embryo condition.
Okay. To be more precise, it is more than one embryo sac. Okay. More than one embryo sac in ovule. This is the condition which clearly states the plant is undergoing to apomixis mechanism. And the third point is, if the plant does not experience any inbreeding depression. What do you mean by inbreeding depression? Come on, answer. What do you mean by inbreeding depression?
Continuous selection due to
Of progeny.
Progeny? I just heard progeny. Before that, nothing. Due to continuous selfing. Okay.
Loss in vigor.
Loss in vigor. Loss in vigor in progeny of cross-pollinated crops. Reduced vigorous and fertility. Okay, so if you combine all these three points, it is nothing but said to be an inbreeding depression. Reduction in vigor and fertility due to continuous selfing or inbreeding in cross-pollinated crops. This is known as your inbreeding depression. Okay, so I just gave you a cross-pollinated crop and it is identical to its female parent. Always all these progeny are identical to female parent, this cross-pollinated crop progeny, and there is no inbreeding depression at all. This is a condition of apomixis. So there are three conditions. One, directly identical to the female parent, the progeny, in whatever the species it might be, self-pollinated or cross-pollinated. Second thing is presence of your polyembryonic condition, which means presence of more than one embryo. Okay, what is your example for polyembryonic? Where you can see polyembryonic?
Citrus.
Citrus, good. So presence of more than one embryo sac in ovule. So this is an direct condition of your apomixis. Other condition is absence of the depression, what inbreeding depression in cross-pollinated crops. So these are the three mechanisms how you can detect apomixis. So hope everyone learned about apomixis, its classification and how to detect apomixis. If you have any doubts, you can generally speak out. And now we will move to the pollination. Any clarification you need in apomixis? Any clarification? Anyone? So now I'll be moving to sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction, are there any types of sexual reproduction in plants? If yes, please do answer. Sexual, what are the different types of sexual reproduction in plants? So, okay, sexual reproduction, there is only one type of sexual reproduction in plants, and this sexual reproduction, it will be generally dealt in the later classes, okay?